there are plenty of legends that have to do with crocodiles spanning all over the world, and most of the time they are highly embellished. In 2009, in the Philippines, placed near Lake Mahiba, on March 7th at about 6 p.m., 11-year-old Ruina Ruiz and her friend Echel Rodrigo were heading home from school. Now, in this area, it's very rural. There are not many roads, and oftentimes the only way to get around is by canoe. And that's exactly what was happening here. And they were being followed by fisherman Roy Degas. And Roy was basically acting as their guide / he was just making sure they were getting around safe. Now, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, it was pitch black. I mean, they're coming home from school and it's dark. So not the safest time to be out, but what options do they really have? Marina was in the front of the boat, and sadly, they didn't see that there was something else with them in the water. And that something else happened to be a crocodile. Roy quickly went over to help save whoever he could, which at the time was just Echel. He didn't know what was going on with Ruina until he looked over and saw that the crocodile had Ruina's head in its mouth. Just her head. He claims that he felt sick to his stomach, which, I mean, I would too given the circumstance. All that was left of her boat was a little piece that they ended up bringing back that has clear bite marks from a crocodile. And they ended up finding her body a couple days later, or what was left of it, I should say, along with some banana leaves. Now, in the United States, if something like this happens, they pretty much go to that lake and kill every single problem alligator. It happened very recently at a lake not too far away from where I live. Man was killed by an alligator, and every single large alligator in that lake is now dead because of it. But in the Philippines, with these specific species of crocodiles, the saltwater crocodile, they are protected. And they are protected because their numbers got so low to a point where they almost went into extinction. Well, in order to do anything about a problem crocodile, you need to get a permit from the government. And sadly, one person dying is not enough for them to do that. Now, in August of 2010, over a full year later, this is not over a very short period of time, Roy's brother and his son went fishing. They are in a very similar style canoe that was attacked earlier. Now, they were fishing when they were attacked by a crocodile. Luckily, in this case, they were able to fend off this crocodile. Roy's brother Ronaldo, who said he hit the crocodile across the head with his paddle, and the crocodile bit onto the boat, but they were able to get back to shore. Now, crocodile attacks don't happen too terribly much in this area, so the fact that this happened a year later shows that it wasn't a boom, boom, boom type thing, but this is starting to build. This is starting to freak these people out. Enough time has gone by that there's no way to know whether the same crocodile that attacked Ruina is the same crocodile that attacked Ronaldo and his son. If you think about it, if Roy had something to do with both, Ronaldo being his brother and Roy was there, you can kind of see why people would think maybe this is the same crocodile. At this point, a few miles away from this incident, in the village of San Marcos, they end up putting these strict rules in place to not basically throw any trash away in the river. They would throw their food scraps and everything. They did everything they possibly could not to attract any crocodiles, and it actually seemed to have worked because they had no other sightings of large crocodiles in that area. But 5 miles south of Lake Mahiba, in the village of Nueva Era, has a population of about 1,300 people. Nueva Era has a bridge that connects it to the mainland, and most of the villagers are on this one side of the bridge. June of 2011, not quite a year later, but still a reasonable gap, there was another attack. Daniel Oxtero was a farmer who had a lot of misfortunes in a very short time. His house ended up burning down, and so he needed to go out to make extra money after he farmed, and he went fishing. Well, he went fishing at night because he was farming all day. He is near the only bridge in the village. It's dead quiet, dead of night, about 9 p.m. His sister all of a sudden started hearing barking. The dogs around the village were freaking out. She heard a very large splash. She got scared and she went to bed. I didn't say anything to anybody. I mean, if I was scared and heard a bunch of splashing, I'd probably go would go to somebody and try to figure out what was going on, but she went to bed. Next day, she was told her brother had gone missing. And the only thing that was left of her brother was his hat and a bit of his boat. Now, at this point, these 3 attacks are over a multiple year spread. 2 people have died at this point. There is no way to know if this is the same crocodile. After this attack, though, the Filipino government did decide to issue a permit to take the croc. But the croc must be captured alive. They do not want this crocodile being killed. So Ronnie Sue Miller goes and meets up with a lot of the villagers in Nueva Era, because that is where this crocodile has been spotted multiple times. He ends up putting snare traps all along the river, and these snares are made with steel cable. Now, steel cable, I've used it in shark fishing a decent amount. It is designed to be able to withstand a lot of things like kinking and like wire will kink and break. Steel cable is meant to be very bendy, and it's not designed to snap. It's a very strong material. Put chicken on a stick tied up to this cable so that when the croc bites onto the chicken and starts to swim away, the cable will snare around its mouth or its neck and hopefully keep the crocodile there. For 3 weeks, every single trap that was laid out was snapped. Now, any normal sized crocodile, this would not happen. After 3 weeks of doing this, they finally did manage to catch this croc. When they finally captured this croc, it took basically the entire village to bring it in. It took hours just to get out of the water. Where it was captured, they had to drag it 1.5 kilometers. It took 60 people with this croc tied up to be able to pick it up a little bit at a time and drag it just a little bit. It took 60 people. They put it on a cart to be able to help move it. And this croc was so big and powerful, it snapped the ropes, it would break the cart. Any chance that it would get to move and break whatever it was in, it would do. And it took just tremendous amounts of effort to be able to move this crocodile. Now, when they finally got it to the village, obviously there was celebration. But even at this point, there were murmurs that this wasn't the right crocodile. This was a big crocodile, but the one that had killed all these people were a lot bigger. Now that they have it in the main part of the village, their next step is to get it across the river, because that is the only way to the mainland, to the road, because they got to take it 11 kilometers up the road to a park that was originally designed to be a pool for children, and they're turning it into an area for this crocodile to stay in. But the only way across this little canal is this small bridge, and this bridge is nowhere near strong enough to be able to haul this crocodile across, or big enough. They made a raft. Literally, they just tied a bunch of wood together, tied Lolong on top of it, and drug it over the river. Now, if this didn't work, if it flipped, if it got caught up on something, they could risk drowning the crocodile, which they need to bring this in alive. If it doesn't go right, the crocodile could escape. All that work could be for nothing. It could be a danger to people again. If this is the crocodile that was killing people, all sorts of things are riding on whether or not they could get this crocodile across a river on a makeshift raft. But luckily, they were able to do so. Now, when they got Lolong up to this truck, they ended up pumping his stomach out. Basically, they knew it had been months since the last person to have disappeared. Crocodiles can digest basically anything except for keratin. So flesh, bone, doesn't matter. Hair, fingernails, horns, they can't digest it. So they pumped out its stomach, hoping that there was something in there to show that a person had been killed by this crocodile. And they dumped buckets and buckets of water in until the crocodile vomited it up. And nothing came up. So that was inconclusive. There's basically no way to tell whether or not this crocodile actually has ever killed anybody, besides the fact that it was so big that it had the potential to. So they were able to get Lolong down to this park, and they got an official measurement on him, and Lolong officially was 6.17 meters, which comes out to just over 20 feet long. When it comes to the Guinness Book of World Records, in official lengths of crocodiles, Lolong is the longest crocodile ever officially recorded. Now, there are crocodiles all over the world who have been claimed to be bigger than Lolong. These are just simply not true, or at least officially speaking. Yes, there is Gustav. No one ever has officially recorded the size of Gustav, so there's no way of knowing how long he actually is or was. Cassius Clay, who is the crocodile that is in Australia, same species, saltwater crocodile, is 18 feet long, and he is the longest crocodile on record at the moment. Now, Lolong, when Lolong was measured, beat Cassius as the biggest crocodile, and I guess you can see where this is going. By the way, Lolong was so strong, when they used the sedative, they put a sedative to get the measurement on Lolong because it had to be outstretched and it had to be one measurement to be able to make this official. They used a needle to put the sedative in there, and the muscle, like the needle went in and the muscle bent, and it literally bent the needle. That's how strong this crocodile was. They're able to bend this needle just like nothing. Now, sadly, the people who ended up taking care of Lolong did not know what they were doing, basically. They would drain the enclosure so that people who wanted to see Lolong out of the water could. And Lolong was so big that the weight of himself would crush his internal organs. It's like if you beached a whale, the weight of the body of the animal itself is enough to crush them. That's why they live in the water. And a crocodile this size needs to be in the water most of the time because they just physically cannot hold themselves up enough, and they're too heavy, and it ends up killing them. And in 2013, Lolong did eventually die at this park, and there's many reasons for it, but basically most of the reason is because of his care. His care was not adequate enough. It was a very small pool or pond for his size. And you can say what you want about a killer crocodile. There is no proof that Lolong actually killed anybody. Although, a few things do match up, like there hasn't been an attack in that area like this since. But, I know you guys are waiting for this one too, because I get it in my comment section all the time on TikTok. There was another sighting. At least claimed. All of the villagers said that this was not the crocodile that killed all these people. Roy, in particular, said that this is not the crocodile that attacked him, and he was probably the one who got the best look at it. They were saying that Lolong was the smaller of the two. Now, there were estimates. There was a villager who had a bull that was taken by this crocodile and was dragged towards that same bridge that a lot of this stuff happened, and he claimed that Lolong was the smaller of the two. And he estimated how big it was, and they measured it out, and it was supposedly close to 40 feet long. I have a hard time believing that size. I have a very hard time believing that size. That would be twice the size of Lolong. Is it possible that there's a bigger crocodile out there? Yes. Is it possible that Lolong didn't kill those people? Absolutely. But we will never know for sure. Now, once Lolong died, Cassius took over the #1 spot of the largest crocodile in captivity. There will be more out there? Absolutely. I guess only time will tell. But this just goes to show, even in today's current day and age, there are still the chances. Large animals are still out there. And it's not their fault. We are encroaching on their habitat. They are just doing what crocodiles do. And sadly, sometimes we end up on the menu. I had to add this in post because even today, recording this video, I see this video on TikTok, and there are apparent sightings of a bigger crocodile in the same exact area that is thought to be the one that was bigger than Lolong. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of video, let me know in the comment section below. And regardless, go check out my TikTok. That's DNA Reptiles. Like, comment, subscribe, and y'all keep it wild.